Um, my last question for you, Mr. Ambassador, is something that I'm new to this kind of concept, and I would love you to explain it to me. Is that you said something? You said Israel is a chosen place for a chosen people for a chosen purpose, um, and I'm trying to understand how that could be reconciled with the America First position as a U.S. ambassador. Now, I come from the region. I was born in Lebanon to a Christian family, and I've learned recently, Lebanon is considered by some historically as the birthplace of Christianity, but in my mind, I never considered that to give me any rights in that region or anywhere in the world based on my religion. I think the world has kind of moved on from religion. Borders are not drawn based on, or shouldn't be drawn based on religion. Um, Politics is kind of evolved beyond that. But what does that mean, that statement? What does it mean when it comes to Israel and US policy and alliance with Israel? I'd love you to explain it to me, if you don't mind.
I'll do my best.
Thanks.
And it's a very fair question. I think for many of us, looking at Israel is looking at it in the context of 4,000 years of history going back to the time of Abraham. Then looking at it 3,000 years ago at the time of King David. Looking at it 2,000 years ago at the time of the Second Temple. Yes, there's certainly religious connotations, because if a person is a person of faith, you can't look at it apart from that. But even if you didn't, you can't deny that there has been a Jewish presence in this land for the past 4,000 years. And there has been a scattering of Jewish people around the world after the Holocaust. There was certainly an international understanding that the Jewish people had a right to return to their ancient indigenous homeland. But this really preceded 1948. This went back to 1917 and the Balfour Agreement, 1922 and the San Mateo Agreement. It went to the League of Nations that year, and then ultimately to 1948. Immediately after 1948, instead of establishing what could have been a Palestinian state then, there was an attempt to destroy Israel and to take away what little bit of footprint it had under the 1948 agreement. In 1956, it was attacked by Egypt. In 1967, it was attacked by a consortium of nations, Egypt, Jordan, Syria. It became a target, but it won the war. Don't know how, but it won the war that it should have lost, and it did it in 6 days. Most countries, when they win a war, the land that they were able to take, they keep. This is the first time I've ever seen that a country continues to win wars and it's expected to give up the land rather than to gain it. They didn't gain it just simply to say it's ours now, but for a security purpose. And then in 73, the Yom Kippur War, once again, it looked like they were going to be defeated, but they won. And then they were expected to give up the land that they took in the Golan Heights in order to protect themselves, in that case, from Syria. It's not a simple thing. I'm not going to pretend that it is. But to look at Israel as a tiny little land, it has the size of New Jersey, which is not a very large state, and Arab-controlled, Muslim-controlled countries have 644 times the amount of real estate that Israel has. So the idea that the solution for the future is for Israel to take the tiny little sliver of land. I've already said it's a fraction of what Muslim countries control. And by the way, the land that it has, only 35% of it is actually used for habitation, because 65% of it is in the Negev desert and pretty much uninhabitable. I think the real question is to ask the world, where would you like this Palestinian state to be? If it's not going to be in Area A, or if the Palestinian Authority wants to run it, but they don't want to change their attitude that they want to kill the people who are ever so close to them, where would you like it to be? I made the suggestion, tongue-in-cheek perhaps, but when Emmanuel Macron, the French president, was talking about demanding a Palestinian state, I said, if he wants one, he can have it, and he can offer the land, maybe right along the French Riviera. It was a point to be made that for the clamor to be had, it's interesting that you don't see nations in this large amount of Muslim-controlled countries saying we would welcome the Palestinian state to be within our boundaries and borders. We would give them the land, and they got plenty of it. That's not happening, not anywhere.
Mr. Ambassador, I first appreciate you allowing me to ask tough questions and to push back, but I've got hours more of questions, which I know you don't have the time. But it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Mario, it's been a distinct pleasure to be with you. We'll do it again sometime if you like, and I appreciate your questions were fair, and yeah, they were tough, but they should be. And I've enjoyed the exchange with you very, very much, and it's been a pleasure to be in your program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful day.